Welcome back, everyone, to Tarot Journeys with Guy. How's everybody doing out there? Now, it's been a while since we've sat. I've had a little bit of a hiatus. Inadvertently took a break at the beginning of the month. I had a few things that kind of really sidetracked me. Nothing really serious. But yeah, being in the world. This is our world. And so, wow, a lot of things have taken place. We've got the second attempt on President Trump's life, and this all of it reeks of deep state. The assassination attempt, or this shooter that was caught, this guy that was caught, that was camped out for 12 hours near President Trump's golf course in West Palm Beach, Florida. Instantly, when this happened, information started coming out right away, okay? And this guy has ties to Ukraine, to foreign fighter groups, and, recruiting foreign fighters, sort of the international brigades that went over there, but also ties to the CIA potentially, and a lot of information coming up that this guy could easily be an informant of some sort. Now, that is super telling. Nothing surprising about this. We all were wondering when are they going to attempt to do this again. It's very obvious how the deep state driven media is right in line with covering it up, to obfuscate it, to blame it on Trump himself, and to gaslight the people into believing that it's not really what it seems. Now, it's like the same thing as the other guy, Thomas Crooks. It's the lone gunman scenario, right? But the thing is, we are living in the age of instantaneous information. And this is why they want to shut down everybody. This is why they're going after the deep state, the globalists, going after Elon Musk, Telegram, the CEO of Telegram, anybody that has any amount of a following and is very vocal, they're going after him, right? This is why they're going after President Trump. So that was wild. I mean, the other day, so I guess that was on Sunday. So, and I'm shooting this today, Tuesday evening, just before the full moon. That's the other thing. There's a full moon with a partial eclipse. And so, yeah, the energy is ramping up. But on Sunday, when this all happened, just when I had finished shooting a video that I was going to upload, this happened, right? And I decided not to upload the video for a lot of reasons. I mean, this is also kind of why I've kind of come and go on the internet a little bit too, is because, I mean, a big part of what's going on right now is an information war. It is a political thing. When things happen, it also becomes very confusing, and I don't want to add to that confusion, right? So that was a big part of it. Of course, we're less than 2 months from the presidential election. They have basically been telegraphing for the Democratic deep state, these globalists all over the world, mind you. This isn't just in the States, but telegraphing that they need to get rid of President Trump, to basically to shoot him. I mean, there was a thing that just came out with Kamala on Ellen making a joke about it. And it's no joke. It's really no joke. Now, if the tables were turned, it would be a completely different story. They would be completely up in arms, okay? But they have no other choice. They have no other choice. See, one of the other interesting things, and a very big tell, is that a lot of his golf matches, he claims, are decided quickly, right? And so how did he know about this? How did he know that? I mean, if you're going to track somebody, it's not hard to figure out, but it's also an indicator that he had some kind of help, okay? And then he got charged not for attempted murder or anything like that. Really, really weird and weak gun charges. Now, one of the other things is this guy's got a huge rap sheet. And one of the things that apparently he got caught with was weapons of mass destruction. And so, oh man, the more and more you dig into this stuff, the more it becomes super obvious that what we're dealing with is a group that are definitely have infiltrated and are attempting to succeed at a coup. Okay? And it's a global coup. It's not just in the States. This is a global thing. That was very telling. And I mean, not a few days before that, I guess maybe a week, I'm not sure, but in the recent past from that assassination attempt was the debate. And that was what was mostly on people's minds after that was, and the reason is because basically Kamala exposed the whole thing and exposed it for the lies that a lot of it is, and the lies of the media and her lies, straight up her lies. Now, and so, yeah, and it's hard. Like, I mean, you still have a large segment of people that don't really want to see the truth in some of this. A lot of people still want to go towards the media, stuff like this, right? And so it's very tough. But for us that are in the awakening camp and waking up to this, there's a reason why all of it's being exposed, right? They have to get caught. It has to be shut down. And so, yeah, and then like in Europe, we've got the big pushback on the migration issue, and the Germany closing its border or partially closing it, and the EU kind of getting all up in arms about its open border agreement, the Schengen agreement, I guess it's called. Pardon me if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. And yeah, in Netherlands, they're trying to pass something that, I mean, the pushback, it's happening, okay? And all of their lies are being proven to be lies. Sort of like the thing in Ohio. President Trump wasn't lying about that. There is a lot of evidence. There's a lot of people that have tried to come forward. There's a lot of people talking about this. There's evidence, right? And so, and I mean, it goes on and on and on. So a couple of days before before President Trump's second assassination attempt, Biden and the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer had met and agreed to come to an agreement about Ukraine and giving a green light to using missiles in Russia, and this whole idea of ramping up towards a war, right? And it's just, the escalation is just, it keeps going up and up and up. And so, and like Trump is one of these characters that gets in the way of their forever war plan, right? And that's what they want to really implement. And you see it within the EU, you see it in the UK, you see it in like all of the Western nations are pretty much on board for war. All of the deep state captured leaders in those countries, in which the Western countries are pretty much captured, right? And then just as I went to go and sit to shoot this video, two things broke. One, a massive hack of the Hezbollah and their pager system, where over 1,000 pagers blew up simultaneously over quite a area, mostly in Lebanon, right? But that's pretty wild. And also Diddy got charged with what we were suspecting, but mostly around trafficking and racketeering, right? And what he kind of represents is a definite Epstein-esque character within the music industry, but it goes far back to the 60s. In fact, some of these guys are still alive that have, producers and agents and these type of guys he's all connected with these guys, going all the way back to some of the people that signed some of the greatest acts of the 60s. So there you go. Yeah, been a wild September so far. Okay, so let's go. So here we are. We've got that 7 of Wands. It's the pushback. It is the peaceful rebellion, the peaceful, non-violent pushback, and the fight against these liars and these deceivers. That's really a big thing, right? And so, like, you know, like with this card, he's doing, you know, he's got his stick up, and I guess it's like a parry, okay? And there's other sticks up there that are kind of going at this guy. Now he's got the high ground. He's got the high ground, right? Even though he's a little bit in battle, but he's still knocking off these sticks. They're not going to knock him off the high ground. Okay, and so this is the other thing here, what I see here with this Tower card. Yeah, they are not in control of the controlled demolition anymore. What the globalist deep state is attempting to do is create as much havoc and problems so that they can potentially create a scenario where they steal the election or get in, but they're not. They're preparing for after and creating as much confusion and havoc, right? The forever war is what they really are gunning for. This is a really big thing, and it ties in with everything else, okay? Kind of like how the pandemic was very telling of their aims, I guess, right? But anyway, that's the thing. We've got the high ground. So that's something we have to sort of keep in mind. The spiritual energies are moving towards freeing people. It's not the resistance that people have is what's creating the problem right now. I'm a firm believer that all of the conflict in the world is due to all of us within ourselves as individuals being at conflict, at pain, suffering. And when we inflict pain and suffering on another, we're actually doing it to ourselves, as well as the other person, but primarily to ourselves. The bigger effect is on the person that perpetuates it. Yeah, that's the energy. And so like us, we're like anchoring that energy in, right? The spiritual people that have been sort of around for a while, I guess, but around all of this stuff, around this deep state war and what's happening, the people versus the totalitarians, and and truth coming to the surface. Us that have been navigating these waters for a bit, we're here to anchor it. We're here to draw on that energy and it's a part of a transmutation, but it's also just like to hold the energy. Like I said, the energy actually, what is the energy on the planet is moving towards freeing us. That we are exiting out of a dark age, not entering into a new one. This is why I'm so adamant about certain things, like the astrological ages, the world ages, moving into a new world age, right? Moving into the age of Aquarius. It is a signal of a 6,000 year motion into a dark age, and now we're moving out. We're about to move out. We are moving out. We're feeling the effects, or it's like almost like the orb. Like in astrology, all the planets have an orb of influence, like the 3 degrees, if, like within the moon. Like sometimes we feel the moon or the moon's energies in a certain degree will affect 3 degrees behind or 3 degrees ahead or 5 degrees. Some people have different measures, right? But we're experiencing it. That's what I really feel. And that's why many of us feel this. Many of us are adamant about this, because there is going to be a continuation. humanity has such an opportunity to liberate itself, that greater opportunity at liberation than it being enslaved. But we're borderline. They have tricked a vast portion of humanity into accepting this, into going along with their machinations, into volunteering themselves. They really have. A part of that energetic structure, just like how we've got the 7 here, you got the one guy that is balancing out the 6, okay? And I'm just using this card as an example, but maybe it's a little bit like this. It's like 10% of the population, 10 to 15% sort of has the ability to balance out the rest, okay, in a certain way. Now, studies in demographics and sociology and revolutionary theory and political science and all of like that kind of thing, right? Economics as well, talk about this saturation point where the majority of people will only go along with what they see other people are accepting, okay? Until there's somebody that shows them another way, or a group that are large enough, around 9 to 10%, will start to sway the majority of people, the silent majority, okay? And that's the thing. We can't look to activate all of humanity. It's not really, even though it is happening. It really is. For us that have been navigating this, it's more about this anchoring the energy down. That's very clear. And not, see, I've been having a hard time like this month, I guess, has been a little bit tricky for me because, I've had to go into the world and not hold back, and speak up. That's what I've been doing, and it's been a battle. It's holy moly, especially around President Trump. Okay, and I probably have talked about how difficult it is. Some people just will not see past the gaslighting projection that's in the psyop that has been perpetuated. People believe it. They believe. Well, I mean, granted, not everybody's going to like everybody, right? But for me, what it's been more about is kind of getting back to basics, going back to the sort of the beginnings of some of this, going back to the beginnings of when President Trump got on the scene. And even that, tracing it back to the national security state and the deep state and the continuity of government and back to World War II. Right? And talking about and trying to show people where this breakaway and this coup is taking place. Because it when you start to sort of break everything down and you start to sort of see, and especially like the long stream of this, it starts to make sense, right? When you start to understand their motive, now it starts to make sense. Whereas with these normie people, the majority of the people, but it's not so much the majority anymore, but these people that refuse to see, and the other side, the people with the mind virus, they're not going to see it, right? It's super hard to see. It doesn't make any sense. What's going on right now, there's certain things, I mean, some people go along with it, like for instance, the open borders. So a lot of people in the Western world are communists. So, and this is what we were warning people about, this division, this civil war state. That's one of the things that they're successful at, is creating that division. They have created it. The other thing and I mean, you name it, anything within society, there's a complete divide over it, right? And that's what we have to go and communicate to people about, show people the other way, right? And that's just how it is, right? And not allow the energies of the time to really throw us off. But we know this is really good. We wanted some of this. I mean, the system has to be overhauled. The whole thing is just so corrupt, okay? And it's really not really good for people. We're used to this. It's just they're gonna amp it up. They've got something else going on. They're definitely gonna try to probably kill them again and again and again until they actually are stopped or accomplish it. They might be a little bit sneakier, might not be so direct with the gunman scenario, but that's the thing. Chaos. Holy cow, right? They've been whipping everything up into such a frenzy. It's right, but the thing is, what's being halted is their plan to further a war, right? This is where I see this here. And that the circumstances of the tower here, which, you know, especially when it's the right side up, it can be surprise, like a catastrophe by surprise. Well, the catastrophe is on them. They have been trying to manicure and manufacture catastrophes to get away with their plan, and it's backfiring, right? There's a lot of things that have been backfiring on them. People should be talking about some of the stuff that they're actually talking about right now, but they're making it difficult, right? But people should be really communicating what they perceive of what's going on in the sense of my livelihood, the food I'm eating, my water, the people that I'm surrounded by, the people that I allow in to be in power. And we should be talking to one another about this stuff. I mean, I get it. Not everybody sees eye to eye, right, on certain things, right? But it's necessary. We should be talking about what these people are doing with kids, with the young people, right? It definitely they should be, right? It's terrible. It's terrible what this open border thing has produced, and like something like the P. Diddy deal. What is that? Is this an operation, or are they trying to cover their tracks for something? Often what it is they eliminate a useful idiot, somebody that they no longer have use for, and they use them for a certain end, right? Sometimes that person goes against them, and then they trigger it. Or it could be a patriot thing, right? Or it could be legitimate people in the system going, wait a second, no, we're going after these guys. And so, right, but the cover up could easily be there to cover up the horrendous, absolute horrendous human trafficking that's going on all over the world. And it's sort of this thing of, you know, catch them with, you know, this scenario, which is bad, but it's not as bad as this scenario, right? But no, this scenario is bad. This really talks about, this is kind of like that Nygaard, that for Victoria's Secret guy. He had connections with Epstein, but he was another one. He was like, goes back, like he was very old. But it's this thing in the model world, in that part of that world, is kind of the same deal, right? And so what we're really seeing is that, man, like a lot of these people that we see that get prominence, especially in the past, were put through this system. They were placed there. I mean, in the last couple of weeks, there was this thing that came up around tenant media and a whole bunch of independent alternative media guys being funded by somebody. They're claiming it's Russia. But this is what I was picking up before, is a lot of these influencers, a lot of these people, for the most part, are paid. There's so much of it going on both sides. Yeah, it's hard to believe anything, right? So, and that, yeah, it's really, really going on, man. Well, okay, so that was interesting. A lot of information there. Let's see what else. What else do we need to hear? What else is going to come up in the next few days? Shift it up a bit and not draw so many cards. This is interesting, right? In the center of the tower. That's kind of like what I was saying before. They've been trying to launch a health disaster. They've been freaking people out with all sorts of things. Bill Gates released his altered mosquitoes, and what is it, West Nile virus? People freaking out about that. There was the monkeypox, some kind of avian flu. Are they going to release another virus? What do you think the people are going to do? Do you think they're actually going to be able to pull it off? Because this card here above it talks about a victory. This talks about how, in some ways, their other disaster, and I'm taking this as like some kind of staged event that they're creating, okay? But this could be an actual disaster, and it's kind of like what I was saying. It's like things blowing up in the deep state's face is essentially like, kind of like what we've seen with this Hezbollah thing. That pager thing is a little bit scary. You gotta wonder, like, can they do this with cell phones, right? Apparently these pagers, they use these pagers because they don't want to be tracked on cell phones, and it's a system that they've rigged, and so that they can receive encrypted messages and signals back and forth, right? And so there might be something in that, in the tech, and it might be something in the battery. They might have upgraded these pagers with the little lithium batteries or something, and you can hack into the system and overheat them or something. Now, a long time ago, they used to claim that they could blow up computers at a distance and stuff like that, and I did see one once that the person claimed that this was blown up by a remote site. I'm not sure if I believe them, but I did see the computer, and it was a laptop, and it was blown up from the inside. But right, but it's something to keep in mind, right? It's very wild though, like 1,200 of these things going off at once. Pretty wild. Yeah, and they could actually do it to anybody, any system, I think, right? But I think that's kind of what this is talking about. It's almost like they're waiting on something, right? Yeah, don't wait for the next disaster. It's already happened. Move forward. We are victorious. We have moved through this. The pandemic we were victorious in the pandemic in some ways, even though they were successful in releasing the experimental medical procedure and offing millions and 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 millions of people, and more to come probably. But a vast majority of people saw through it. This was a big wake-up call. And so if something like that were to happen again, they aren't going to be successful, right? And that's maybe what it is they're not going to do something like that because they weren't able to be successful with the last one. But I'm not really sure, right? Reason why I say health, because the strength card represents health and well-being. It's actually our life force. But this is where I'm getting the message of, don't let this disaster of a world right now throw you off your track. Don't let it suck your life force. In fact, that's kind of what the dark side wants. It feeds off of negative energy. Wants people all whipped up. Lower astral entities feed off of lower emotional energy. Right? And so, and like this energy of this time, that's what they want. They want us to be completely starved of that life force so that we can't deflect anything, can't combat these guys, right? Yeah, fighting them, but from a different angle, not fighting them directly, but the like the peaceful pushback, the way of the peaceful warrior, you know, like Jesus in the temple kind of thing, right? Like, it's like the tables need to be turned over. These people need to be like pushed back. If somebody gets in your face, I mean, the circumstances are such right now where it's not just about one or two of us, it's about all of us, right? And so that's like that's the thing. If somebody pushes on us, if somebody pushes on me, and there's other people involved, and it's not just me, right? Sometimes you need to hold a firm boundary. You need to push back, but do you attack? No, don't attack. The attack comes from somewhere else. Those people, you know, it's like the old saying, live by the sword, die by the sword, right? Very simple. But we still have time where it's not like a civil war scenario, okay? But that's what they want. They want a civil war, global civil war, all over. And you can see the stage set. You name the character. Trump is one of these characters, but they're going to use everything that he says and twist it, and they've already been doing it, but right, they're going to go into overdrive here. They've got like a clear sort of a timeline that they want to work off of, right? And as we get closer to the election, they're gonna try to trigger some of this stuff that they've got stored. Okay. Now, if you remember back, like, well, before COVID, right? It was the impeachment, and the impeachment failed, and COVID came out like that day. COVID failed, and Ukraine war. Almost that day, like the Freedom Rally was at its head in Canada, and the farmer protests all over Europe, all the people all over protesting, right? Oh, the Ukraine-Russia war, not quite working. Oh, October 7th attack. Just like clockwork, just like, and that's what they're going to do. That's exactly like what they're going to do. I'm not really sure what it is, but they've got something up their sleeve. But right now it's about Trump. They think they've got dirt on him, right? And it's some of the stuff that they've sort of dug up is also kind of placed there by Trump's team to throw them off and to trap them, right? That's another deal. Yeah, and I get it. They're getting ready for this thing with putting him in prison, but that's not going to happen. Something's going to come up where it's going to blow up in their faces, right? That's kind of a good thing. But yeah, the information war, man, is going to get thick. I almost tend to think that this shooter, this new guy, is also sort of a part of a disinformation campaign. It's so funny. Like the other guy, Thomas Crooks, couldn't really, they kind of tried to clamp down on the information. They didn't want people knowing too much. And this guy, instant information started coming out. All of his posts they look automated. And then the other thing is he also was in a BlackRock video. Thomas Crooks was in a BlackRock ad. And this guy was as well. Right? The information war, right? And that's, the information war is not necessarily directed at Trump, it's directed at us. It's directed at the people. But certain people, and it's like Elon Musk is another one. These characters, these people that are speaking out against the corruption and the deep state takeover, they're going into full swing trying to go after him, but it's not working. It's so funny. Yeah, and that's why you also see people switching sides right now too, right? Because they realize that the game is up. It's totally up. But yeah, they might, maybe what they're going to try to trigger is another pandemic, another type of lockdown. Who knows? Just don't feel like it's going to be successful. I think enough people are going to be sort of privy to it, going to be aware of like what is the true nature, but it just would not surprise me at all. Kind of like these assassination attempts. What else is going to happen? Is there going to be a war? Are they going to try to ramp up some kind of war before? Yeah, that's what it appears. It really does appear that way as well, right? Yeah, and it just, their climate scam, the climate change psyop isn't working, right? That's actually what's sort of being dismantled a little bit right now, right? And yeah, they can't really blame it on anything else, right? I don't think they have the ability to stage a UFO invasion. I don't think they need to stage anything big. There's a lot of people that just believe BS instantly, right? But yeah, no, I think that's their two most obvious, right? And I mean the thing with some kind of civil disruption, civil war, a war scenario, all of the pieces are out. It's all there, right? So it would be no surprise. Okay, one more little guidance, and then we'll close it off. So the Chariot. This card represents the activation of will, actually, and how there are like inactivity and activity, action and inaction are synonymous to the activation of will, right? You need to be able to perform both, let's say, okay? This is like, this card is kind of like, don't take any rash decisions or rash actions right now. Wait and see, right? Especially like when things, so funny, all three major arcanas too, right? This is why I didn't put out the video right away, especially after Trump was assassinated. I wanted to wait. I wanted to wait and see. I wanted to see what information came out. I don't want to add to the confusion. I don't want to be in that camp, right? I don't really want to be a part of an information war. We are all weaponized in it. That's the nature of the fifth generational warfare, let's say, as some people call it. But yeah, psychological war, information war, that idea of all people involved are weaponized. The information is weaponized. It's used as a weapon. And so, yeah, that's a really sort of a big thing. And you got to be sort of in that mode when you're going into your world, right? Like taking a sort of a measured approach, a wait and see kind of, don't jump into things right now, right? That's kind of what that's actually saying. Something happens, take one step back first before there's a decision that needs to be made, or you need to speak or something, right? Humanity is going through a massive cleansing. We need to cleanse ourselves of this indoctrination, this glaze that has been placed over humanity. Yeah, and it's going to take a very long time. It's not just within one lifetime, I'm afraid. That's not the nature of this stuff, right? It's more in the sense of moving towards this new era. That cleansing process is a crucial part of it, cleansing ourselves of it. And I'm not saying take it however, right? But it needs to be balanced. You need to sort of do it from a balanced perspective, not from extremes. In fact, that's kind of what this talks about, is cleansing, seeing the middle part. And we have to kind of keep moving in the direction that we've set forth and not give in. We got to stay on this path. Like for instance, like in the States, like if I was in the States, I'd be voting for President Trump. I'd be active. So you got to vote. We got to vote. We got to take part. We got to take part in our political systems right now, regardless of what it may seem, and don't give up hope at all, right? And that's part of, like, a big part of the psyop is to make us depressed and not able to see a clear direction and to be hopeful about life, about the scenario that we're in, right? And the energy is moving us in the opposite direction, right? So we have to get away from the legacy media and some of the things within the infrastructure that we've had to rely on. We have to find new means, right? Yeah, it's so necessary. That cleansing is what's sort of taking place. And so, and even in our own personal lives, we can, it's so funny because we are approaching the fall equinox, the autumnal equinox in the northern hemisphere, right? For us in the north, it's the fall, but it's significant of a massive, a big shift, right? But it's the death period in the cycle. It's that preparation for the rejuvenation, the rebirth, right? So, but each of the 4 points of the solstices and the equinoxes are major energetic points in the yearly cycle, and we're prepared for them beforehand, right? And so that's kind of what this is talking about, is like sort of preparing yourself for the next cycle, right? And not in because it's going to be crazy, just in a more of an energetic and a healthy and a prepared and a grounded way, right? But yeah, cleansing this last period of time and sort of moving towards the new period, but staying on track, right? Not letting yourself get thrown off by what is being presented to us. Really doesn't matter if we're on the internet or not anymore. It has an effect regardless of we're there or not. It's very important that we stay with it and take part, because we could see a massive shift towards it being not a device to enslave us, but to actually free us, and it being a good thing. It's borderline, right? It's a little bit both, right? Right now it's still in that good where it's desirable to be here, right? And the more that we're here, that's kind of what I'm getting at. The more that we're here, the more that transformation and that transmutation actually takes place, and so yeah, that's a really good one, right? Preparation, cleansing, meditation, and study, and sort of maybe even reviewing what's taken place in the last couple months, but the study of the astrological wheel, the 4 fixed signs, the four books of life that are represented by the 4 elements. We've been set on a track, and we've been set on a track to uncover a lot of this stuff, but to also be present and to take part and to sort of see, to be witness to all of the amazing and wild things that are happening right now, right? So that's something to really keep in mind. So, right, cleansing, meditation, and recap. That's a good way to look at that, and to stay on track and not to let the craziness of this world right now to throw us off that track. Okay? So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. So hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.